Well, thank you so much for staying with us, and thank you to Tim at Bull Country Compost for sponsoring our show. So we have been, again, getting a lot of questions about how to amend our soil. And a lot of you are starting new raised beds and are asking, what should I put together as my soil medium for my raised beds? So we really recommend topsoil, compost, Bull Country compost, and peat moss. If you have some really bad soils, maybe working in some vermiculite to help with additional drainage. But the peat moss, the Bull Country compost, and the topsoil is going to make a nice bed for you to plant in. It will hold your nutrients and you're going to be good. If you already have an established garden and you're just amending it, then you're just going to use just the straight Bull Country compost. We sell it by the yard and we also sell it by the bag. So if you only need a little bit, you have a very small garden, a couple bags might be enough for you. Or it might be easier for you to have 4 or 5 yards delivered if you have a large garden. And with a little Mantis tiller, till it right into your soil and you're going to be ready to go. And it is a great way. I know some people that plant directly in the compost instead of working it into the soil. The only thing you'll have to worry about then is if we do have a dry spell, it will dry out much more quickly than if it has the topsoil in it. The next question that we had was about starting seeds, and we've touched on this the last few weeks. Just make sure that you read the packet, and if it tells you that it's going to take 14 days or 21 days for a seed to germinate, and then after germination, it is a 90-day or 120-day till harvest. Remember where we live in northeastern Ohio, we don't have that much time before we're going to have a frost again. So if you haven't started your pepper plants already, don't waste your money starting seeds. You just need to go to your local independent garden center and get the plants that are already started. You can still, start your lettuces and your beets and your turnips. All of those cold crops definitely can go right in the ground. But remember, anything that germinates at a temperature at 70 degrees or above, remember it's going to take much longer for it to germinate if you're doing a direct sow in the ground when the soil temperatures are only 50 degrees. It's going to sit there for quite a while. Now, lettuce, on the other hand, does germinate at 70 degrees. But when we are having some 70-degree days, it doesn't take very long for that first half an inch to warm up. So soil temperatures, when we are talking about soil temperatures, we are usually down about 2 to 4 inches in the soil. But your lettuce seeds and some of your other, radishes and beets, you won't put them down 4 inches. You're going to do them right about that 1 inch mark. So that will germinate, more quickly because the soil at the surface is going to warm up much more quickly than your other, than the deep down in will warm up. So you can do that. Also germinating in a container, those seeds are going to germinate much more quickly. Anytime you're germinating seeds in potting soil, they're going to germinate more quickly than they will in the earth, just because it's so much lighter weight and that germination process can take place much, much more quickly. I think that we are probably done with frost now. I have been watching the extended forecast. I think that when Tuesday night's crazy hard frost was probably our last. We're probably still going to have a few cool evenings, into the 40s. But I think that the frost is probably over. My late husband used to always say, never plant till after my birthday, and that was May 19th, which is just this next Tuesday. So I really think that we're probably safe to go ahead and get your gardens in. It doesn't look like it's going to be crazy warm. We're not going to jump into the 80s right away. It doesn't look like, but it does look like the extended forecast. We are going to have some 70-degree days. So getting your gardens in over the next 2 weeks is definitely ideal. So remember, you want to get your amendments in. If you are using hot manure, this is the time where we say it's too late to put hot manure on. You don't want to be putting hot manure on and then planting right away. And what we mean by hot manure is manure that is coming right out of stalls within the last 3 months, and it hasn't done any decomposition yet. So that's going to be hot, really high in nitrogen and ammonia, and that can really hurt your plants. So right now, you want to make sure if you are amending your soil, you are using something that is already decomposed, like the Bull Country compost. Now, a lot of people have been asking this week about their earth boxes. And if you have used earth boxes in the past, you know that they say you can use your soil over again. And definitely that is true. They have a little kit that you can buy, but you really don't need to buy that kit. You can get everything actually probably a little bit more economically. But remember, you do need to change out that soil every few years. A girl was in one day last week and said her earth boxes did terribly last year, and up until then they had been doing well. She was buying the kit every year, adding it to it. And so I just said, so how many years have you been using it? And when did you change your soil out last? She had used her soil for 8 years and had never changed out her soil. She was just adding the amendments that Earthbox recommended. That is definitely too long to use potting soil. So our recommendation was to take all that potting soil out of our earth boxes, put it in your compost pile. It's fine for that. It's going to amend the soil later. It's going to be good for some heavy clay soils. But 8 years is too long for potting soil. We really recommend about every 4 years to replenish that soil. So take your old soil out of your containers, and this isn't just for earth boxes. This is going to be for any of your flower boxes, pots that you're growing vegetables or flowers in. About every 3 to 4 years, you're going to want to take that out, put it, like I said, in your compost pile, and use new soil. You can also, if you are on your second or third year, adding some good fertilizer to that, and maybe just adding a little bit of compost to amend that a little bit, especially if you are doing vegetables in your containers. But even flowers, you want to go ahead and put some amendments in there. The Espoma's blooming fertilizer is going to be good as like a starter fertilizer and to help keep your flowers blooming. We do recommend Tomato Tone or Tomato Blast for your tomatoes because it has the additional potassium, magnesium, calcium that the tomatoes need so that you don't get blossom end rot. And then the Garden Tone or Green Nutrients as your general purpose fertilizer for the rest of your garden. Now, if you are if you are planting in containers and you have to water more often, remember that the nutrients leach out more quickly, and you are going to need to fertilize a little bit more frequently than you will if it's in the ground where the soil is a little heavier and will hold those nutrients in to the plant a little bit longer. A lot of you have questions, and we want to make sure that we are always answering them for you. We have several ways that you can ask your questions. You can email me at Cindy Petitti, CindyPetitti @gmail.com. You can Facebook message, which that is usually the fastest because it comes to my phone right away. And our Facebook page is Anthony Petitti Organic Greenhouse. And you can go to the message, push that, and ask us all of your questions. Please follow us on Facebook, and you will see sales that we are running, specials that we are having. You'll see our story. We try to change that out every day, our story, and have a quarantine plant of the day. We are also on Instagram at Petitti's Organic, and our quarantine plant of the day is also on Instagram. And we also post cute little pictures on there frequently. My daughter is home from Washington, D.C. right now because of the coronavirus, working at home, and she makes sure that I am up on my social media. So make sure that you watch those. We do have specials at different times for you to check out on our Facebook page and our Instagram. But also, you can always call in to the store at 330-455-5997 and ask your questions. Or better yet, please come out to the store at 5828 Columbus Road. We're right there on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway. And you can ask your questions in person. You can bring us leaves or, whatever the question is. If you have a limb that's not looking right, we just ask that you have it in a Ziploc baggie so that nothing is contaminated if it's something that is, spreadable, and we will probably have an organic product that can take care of that, or be able to give you suggestions on what to do. We would love to be able to help you out with that. We also do consultations. We aren't doing any more in the month of May because we are so busy, but starting in mid-June, we're right after Father's Day, we start with consultations again. So if you need a landscape consultation or a gardening consultation, we do come out to your home, walk through your landscape or your garden with you and help you out with that. So please take advantage of that if you do have that need. We also want you to bring your pictures in. If you have problems with your landscape, you can bring pictures of your house, the shrubs that you are saving, and how we can fill in and get you some new up-to-date ones. We can give you suggestions on maybe you should go ahead and pull the rest of them out and start over because plant material doesn't last forever. Sometimes we would like them to last 50 years, and there are some great old lilacs that are 50 years old that works. But most of the time, every 15 or 20 years, we should update our landscape because there's so many things, and not everyone prunes properly, so the plants aren't probably looking their best. And also mulching. We want you to make sure that you're mulching adequately, but not too much, and we can always help you out with that. We do have dark brown mulch, which is double ground and a hardwood at $26 a yard, and we have a black that is dyed black at $32 a yard, also double ground and a hardwood. We do recommend that you don't use any dyed mulches on your vegetable gardens or anywhere where you're planting edibles because that dye is an artificial dye and it can leach into the soil. So we wouldn't want you to put that around your food, but the brown mulch is all natural and is going to be great if you like to mulch in between your rows or something like that to help with the weeds. Well, please, ask us all of your questions. We want you to know that we're there for you with all of your gardening needs. You will be safe to come to the store. Thank you so much for getting up early and being with us today. We'll be back with you next weekend, Memorial Day weekend, with some great Memorial Day specials and some specials for all of our veterans. We want to thank you again for being with me this morning. Have a safe week. Love you all.